Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is influence. So I was having this great conversation with a client of mine the other day about how experiences we've had in the past can influence the choices that we make today. And how stuff that especially we'd like to just put behind us, that we're not really looking at, that we'd rather just forget about, can still have an incredibly strong emotional charge on them. And one of the things that I was thinking about with this is that a lot of times when there has been something like this, it can be really hard to recognize, one, how that experience is influencing the choices that we are making and be conscious of the way that it's affecting our choices. But two, also how sometimes because we are aware there might be an emotional aspect, that it can be hard to distinguish between what is the rational choice, what is the right thing to do because it is the better choice, and what am I doing simply because I'm reacting or I am responding from a place of emotional safety. So, for example, when I was 18, I was in a car accident, and it was a lousy accident. And afterwards, I had a lot of nightmares. It was really distressing. I was really scared, and I was not a driver. So I hesitated. I didn't learn to drive until I was like 23 years old. And that experience certainly influenced that choice. But even to this day, that experience influences my inclination to do things like drive in an ice storm and to risk things with cars. Like, to, if the weather is really bad, if the road conditions are really shitty, I am going to decide to wait or forego it or reschedule or adjust things because I know that it's not only do I get distressed driving in this kind of bad weather, but I also just don't want to put myself in harm's way. And the thing is that there is absolutely a rational part of me that can reason it out, look at it, and go, yep, not such a great idea. And at the same time, there's also a part of me that has that's the emotional reaction that is going to pull the emergency brake even more quickly than the reasonable and rational mind is going to do that. And being aware of the way that the emotional part of me wants to pull the emergency brake, that's the thing that I think is really important to be mindful of and recognize how it is influencing my choices. Now, one of the challenges for me is that as a result of it, and the fact that I actually do know that this influences me, there have been times in my life where I have basically made the decision to override my caution because I'm concerned that my fear is being irrational and is trying to basically sort of pull the emergency brake when it doesn't need to be pulled. So personally, I have found it really helpful to get a reality check from another person who doesn't have the same kind of emotional baggage around driving that I do, so that I can get a good sense of whether I am just being anxious for the sake of being anxious, or if I have a legitimate reason to be concerned and practicing caution is a good idea. Now, add to this, for other circumstances and situations, a place where maybe you really are not even wanting to address or acknowledge the degree of emotional distress that something caused you, and maybe you're just sort of wanting to really put it behind you and not deal with it. And that can add this whole other really interesting level of unconsciousness about the way that a past experience is influencing our choices. Like, for example, if somebody had been through a lot of really difficult relationships in the past, and all of a sudden they're starting to become more intimate and closer to somebody presently, it is not uncommon to suddenly get really scared when things start going right and really anxious about, oh my God, the other shoe is going to drop, or, because I've been through so many difficult experiences in the past, what's going to happen next. And I've known people when they've gotten to that certain point in a relationship where they start looking for the exit strategies, they start looking for ways to blow it up because there is that unconscious influence from the past experiences that are basically driving that bus without us necessarily knowing about it. So my question to you right now is, are there experiences that are either consciously or unconsciously influencing the choices that you are making today? Is there a part of you that is sort of that is an emotional part of you that is overriding the rational part of you when it comes to looking for safety? Is there a part of you that is basically pulling the emotional emergency brake in order to keep you safe because it's formed conclusions based on an experience that is now influencing the way you perceive things? So, and if that is the case, how would you start being more conscious of this? How might you recognize the way that that experience has been influencing the choices that you've been making? And if you can recognize it, would you make decisions differently? Would you do something different? So I'd love to hear what you have to say. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this. And until next word of the day, I'm wishing you peace and ease, and also not driving around in ice storms, because we're having an ice storm right now, so I'm not driving around in an ice storm. And in the meantime, please go to my website, empathicwoman.com, and go take my What's Your Empathic Type quiz to find out where you fall in the highly sensitive empathic spectrum. And while you're at it, please spread the word, pass this message along to other highly sensitive empathic people who would find this useful. I really appreciate you helping me get the word out. Thank you so much, and until next word of the day, peace.